The United States' use of drones to kill suspected terrorists in countries like Yemen and Pakistan has also resulted in the deaths of hundreds of civilians. Thomas Jefferson Law School professor Marjorie Cohn has completed the book Drones and Targeted Killings, which examines the legal and moral questions surrounding drones. She joins me now. What do Americans need to know about the use of drones in these targeted terrorist killings?
They need to know that the use of drones has killed more people than died on 9/11, that it's illegal to be using these drones off the battlefield, that it's immoral when this surveillance craft hovers for hours and days before it decides who to target, and it's ineffective. It creates more terrorists who want to do harm to the United States. When they see their loved ones being killed, they resent us. And the overwhelming majority of people killed with these drones, and it's been about 3,500 people killed on Obama's watch, are not high-level Al-Qaeda and Taliban leaders. Less than 2% less than 2% of the drone attacks have killed these high-level leaders. So they really are not doing what we're told they're doing. And if Americans saw the result of these drone attacks, if they saw a child whose limbs were scattered around, whose head was on the ground from these drone attacks, I think that they would be very, very disturbed. The same way that we're justifiably disturbed when we hear about the beheading of American journalists by ISIS.
So why do you think the use of these drones hasn't prompted more public scrutiny?
Well, first of all, the images of the victims of drones and their stories don't penetrate the national discourse. One of the things that our government learned during Vietnam is that when you show Americans the result of our bombs and how innocent people have been killed, Americans get very upset. And this led to the anti-war movement, helped the anti-war movement succeed ultimately. And so we don't hear the stories, we don't see the images. We see a little article in the newspaper that says 6 militants were killed in a drone attack in Pakistan. We don't know who militants are, and in fact, the Obama administration carries out what are called signature strikes, where they don't even know who's being killed. It's just all people who are in an area of suspicious activity. Just take them out, assassinate them, illegal and very counterproductive.
Well, so U.S. officials say, look, drones are unmanned, and so American military officials are not being killed. It's not taking American military lives. The strikes, they say, have helped stop terrorist attacks in this country. Does that not justify their use?
Well, first of all, to say, and I think that's why Obama likes drones, because Americans don't get killed. It feeds into this whole idea of American exceptionalism, that we're better than everyone else. There was a big ruckus when we found out that there was a white paper that was leaked from the Department of Justice that said that U.S. citizens could be targeted. And then people were upset, not so much when we heard about other people being killed.
So why is there a gap between those two? Between those two perceptions, that there is concern, there is outrage if American lives are going to be taken through drones, but not if foreign lives are going to be taken.
Right, because the president and our officials say America is exceptional. And this is what prompted Archbishop Desmond Tutu to write a letter to the New York Times saying, do you mean to say that our lives are not as valuable as American lives? And that's why I invited him, Archbishop Tutu, to write the foreword to this book. And he expands on that notion in his piece in the book.
But the government also says that, look, Al-Qaeda and its allies are to blame. They are hiding among civilians. They're using them as cover while they plan their attacks. Is there another way for the U.S. government to go after these terrorists?
Absolutely, and that is a complete reanalysis of U.S. foreign policy, where we illegally invade other countries, kill their people, torture their people, indefinitely detain their people, and occupy their lands. And until we have a complete reevaluation and change in our foreign policy, there are people who will want to do us harm and who will do us harm. But just using drones as Band-Aids when 98% of the people that they kill are not high-level Al-Qaeda and Taliban leaders is not the answer. It actually makes us more vulnerable to terrorism, not less.
I want to switch to their domestic use. As you know, the FBI uses drones for domestic surveillance. Law enforcement in general is beginning to expand their use, as well as commercial outlets. What are the perils of this?
Well, there are privacy concerns, of course, that are obvious. People, their intimate activities being surveilled with these drones. Very small, they can scoot in to the doorway, and the privacy concerns. There are also concerns about racial profiling. There are concerns about using them to suppress dissent. There are safety concerns when drones have near misses with aircraft. This happened recently in New York, and they have been subject to no regulation at all. The Congress has passed the FAA Modernization Act of 2014 or 2012 rather, and that says that by September of this year they have to have regulations in place for the commercial use of drones. That will be very, very difficult to accomplish.
Got to close it there. Professor Cohn, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Amitha. I appreciate it.